Every miracle begins with a nervous system that remembers safety, not faith, not effort, but safety. Because until the body feels safe, the heart cannot open. And until the heart opens, coherence cannot form. Forgiveness is not moral virtue. It is emotional physics, the recalibration of the body's electromagnetic field. Resentment contracts the signal, love expands it, and in the silence of release, the field reorganizes itself, not through will, but through resonance. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls forgiveness biological liberation. Research from the HeartMath Institute shows that a single minute of sincere appreciation reorganizes heart rhythms, restoring cellular harmony. When the heart forgives, the nervous system stops fighting ghosts, and the field becomes clear enough for miracles to find it. Jesus didn't forgive to be holy. He forgave to be coherent. Forgiveness was his emotional technology for unity, because separation, not sin, is what collapses the signal of divinity within us. Forgiveness is not a commandment, it's a frequency. It's how biology remembers God. Holding resentment is like keeping your hand on a hot stove and calling it righteousness. The amygdala and hippocampus store unresolved pain as survival data, and every recall reactivates cortisol patterns that disorganize the heart's electromagnetic rhythm. This incoherence blocks access to intuitive intelligence, the very field from which miracles arise. Your body doesn't distinguish between memory and moment. It relives pain as if it were happening now, flooding your system with chemistry meant for danger. Not punishment. Protection gone too far. The mind loops old pain to settle unfinished equations, but the body doesn't understand time. It feels every remembered wound as now. Forgiveness releases that stored energy back into flow. It's not about the other. It's about freeing your signal from static. When you forgive, you don't erase memory. You release resistance. You stop being the echo and return to being the sound. Studies on heart rate variability show that anger reduces coherence by up to 70%, while compassion restores synchronization within seconds. Your biology doesn't speak in words, it speaks in rhythm. When you judge, your rhythm fragments. When you forgive, your rhythm stabilizes. What religion calls grace is often just electromagnetic order. When the heart stabilizes, information travels cleanly through the nervous system. Forgiveness is coherence, felt, measurable, divine. You cannot enter a new timeline with the same emotional password. The limbic system confuses release with danger, believing pain equals protection. Forgiveness feels unsafe because it means dropping control. But that's not weakness, it's neurochemistry. The brain resists, not because you are broken, but because it is wired for survival, not surrender. To forgive, you must feel safety while remembering pain, teaching the brain a new outcome. Visualization, without emotion, does nothing. Emotion is the command signal that rewires neural networks. This is emotional neuroplasticity, pairing memory with peace until the nervous system learns that love is safe again. Functional MRI scans of meditators practicing loving kindness show a deactivation of the amygdala and activation of prefrontal regulation, literally changing how the brain perceives threat. You can't think your way into peace, you must feel your way there. Viktor Frankl said, "Between stimulus and response, there is space. That space is forgiveness, the neurological pause that returns choice to consciousness. Every time you forgive, you expand that space. You move from reaction to creation. Every emotion emits a frequency. Forgiveness is the tone of freedom." The HeartMath Institute found that when emotion and intention align, DNA uncoils and gene expression changes within minutes. Forgiveness doesn't just feel spiritual, it's epigenetic alchemy. You are recalibrating your biology to match the geometry of harmony itself. Dr. David Hawkins mapped human consciousness through vibration. Resentment calibrates below 150, forgiveness above 350, and the threshold of spontaneous healing begins near 500, the frequency of unconditional love. You can't fake vibration, you either resonate or you don't. When you forgive sincerely, your field expands. Your signal becomes strong enough for reality to mirror coherence instead of chaos. When Jesus said, "Turn the other cheek," he wasn't teaching submission, he was demonstrating phase coherence. When a coherent field meets chaos, the chaos entrains. The lower frequency synchronizes upward. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's resonance mastery. Studies on group meditation, the so-called Maharishi effect, show measurable drops in crime and conflict. Forgiveness practiced collectively amplifies coherence in the environment. Miracles scale with compassion. When hearts forgive together, the earth itself vibrates differently. Forgiveness is not forgetting, it's remembering differently. Every wound contains energy waiting to be reinterpreted. When you view betrayal as catalyst instead of curse, pain becomes creative power. Neurochemically, dopamine replaces cortisol. The body begins to crave peace instead of pain. Alchemists called this solutio, dissolving dense metal into the universal solvent of love. In modern language, it's emotional neuroplasticity. You're not escaping emotion, you're evolving its chemistry. The process follows 3 natural stages: recognition, naming the emotion without story; recalibration, breathing until the body feels safe again; and rewriting, attaching new meaning aligned with love. Repeating this dissolves the old charge. Each time the memory feels lighter, you've reprogrammed another neural loop. A Stanford Forgiveness Project study showed that structured forgiveness reduced depression and physical pain by over 40%. Biology obeys belief, but belief follows emotion. Forgiveness isn't fantasy, it's measurable transformation. The moment you release another, the universe releases you. Greg Braden describes consciousness as a self-updating network, a living web of energy that mirrors the coherence of its participants. Every act of forgiveness reprograms not just your field, but the collective field of humanity. What you withhold vibrationally, you perpetuate perceptually. Unforgiveness keeps the hologram looping the same storyline because the frequency remains unchanged. When you forgive, the wave collapses and the loop ends. The story rewrites itself. Forgiveness is the emotional frequency that allows the divine equation to complete itself. It restores flow between particle and wave, between biology and spirit. Miracles are not divine exceptions. They are coherence events, the field rearranging itself when emotion and truth finally agree. Imagine every heartbeat as a signal returning to source, clear, coherent, radiant. That is prayer beyond words, the electromagnetic whisper of a healed soul. Forgiveness isn't letting go, it's tuning in. Forgiveness is not passive, it is the most active vibration in the universe, the signal that dissolves separation. Jesus performed no magic. He simply lived without residue. Every emotion integrated, every thought reconciled. His nervous system was a mirror of divine order. When your inner field becomes clear of resentment, miracles cease to be rare. They become the physics of peace. The emotional code of miracles is not faith alone, but coherence born of forgiveness. Because only a coherent heart can translate divine information into biological reality. You are not healing to become holy. You are forgiving to remember you were never separate. And in that remembrance, the universe remembers you. That is the hidden frequency of forgiveness. That is the emotional code of miracles.